Hi, my name is Andrew Hilliker, and I am the owner of Hilliker Holster Company. Years ago, my older brother Aaron got me into firearms. When I was 21 years old, he helped me buy my first gun, which was a Smith & Wesson Shield. Fast forward a few years later, I started making holsters in the basement of my first house. And they were bad, like atrociously bad. Started with very basic materials and tools. Hamilton Beach heat press, hand drills, hand cutters, and I built a foam press with my father-in-law. I spent about $300, and even though the holsters were really, really bad, my brother Aaron still thought they were pretty cool. So he wanted me to make him a few. I made him a few. I then made his friends a few, and then I started posting on Instagram and Facebook. And I started to get a couple of orders here and there. I was working full-time in the IT field at the time, so a regular 8-to-5 job, and then I was just learning how to make holsters on the side. Fast forward many years and lots of fuck-ups later, I started to improve my processes and the tools I was using, and I switched to a different form of making holsters, and I started posting on TikTok. And that's when things started to really go upward. Eventually, I was able to build the business up to quit my full-time job. And I worked full-time for about a year with my brother's help, my brother making our Kydex prints and spending pretty much every waking moment on the phone with Aaron as I cranked through hundreds and hundreds of orders at a 10 to 12 week lead time. Well, one day, all of the phone calls kind of came to an end. June 14th, 8:06 p.m., my dad called me. And I was supposed to go on vacation the next day, so that's cool. And I answered the phone, and he goes, "Hey, Andrew, your brother Aaron was in an accident. Can you meet us at the hospital?" And I don't really know why, but my first reaction was to say, "Is this a joke?" And in hindsight, that would have been a pretty fucked up joke. But it was not a joke. So I went over to South Bend Memorial, which is a hospital close to my house, and my wife and I were there first. And nothing like this had ever happened to me or my family, so I didn't know like the standard hospital protocol. So when we got there, they wouldn't let us into the hospital. The people at the hospital told us that we had to wait for this special person to come escort us. There's a term for it, I don't remember what that is, but I learned later on that that's not really kosher practice. So I get there with my wife, we're waiting for my mom, my dad, my brother's wife. Well, it turns out that my brother was on his way home while riding his dirt bike, and a woman ignored a yellow light and hit him on his bike. And he did not wear a helmet. So we get to the hospital, they shuffle us all into this room, and they just kind of tell us like, "Hey, your son has been in an accident," talking to my parents. And, you know, they told us that he was stable and he was still alive, but he had some pretty bad injuries. So they did, I don't want to talk about that. Hold on. Okay. So they scurry my family into this room to tell us about, you know, the condition of my brother. And I remember when I first got to the hospital, my first thought was like, okay, maybe, you know, he'll be in a wheelchair, or maybe he'll need a organ donation, or like my first thought wasn't, you know, the worst thought possible. And unfortunately, it was the worst possible outcome. So he suffered injuries that he did not overcome. And even though they tried, June 15, 12:30 in the morning, he died. The next day I woke up and I shut my business down, so to speak. I turned the website off. I was obviously in shock. I refunded hundreds of orders, thousands and thousands of dollars. I just canceled them and refunded them, and I didn't talk to anybody. Nobody had any idea what the fuck was going on because I wasn't responding to emails. I wasn't answering Instagram comments. People were asking, why is everything on your website down? And I said, nope. So a few days later, I put a post on Instagram just kind of talking about what happened, and I took a break. I was fully prepared to just quit. This thing that I had built around this thing that I love because of my brother, it just didn't seem like it was going to be fun anymore because the person that I loved doing it with was no longer here. I tried to get my old job back, and that didn't work. And then I tried to find a new job, and that also did not work. I was kind of using that as the universe telling me to buck up. And as cliche as it sounds, it's like, with how much my brother Aaron supported me, it's like, what would he want me to do right now? And sitting down and quitting something that was going pretty well is not probably what he had in mind. So after 6 weeks, I came back and I started taking orders again, and my business skyrocketed. My first month back in 2022 was in July, and it was the best month that we'd ever had in business ever. I just doubled down, and I figured if I'm going to do this, I might as well just do it the way I want to do it. I was going to push forward and build the building that my brother and I talked about, and long story short, that didn't work, and a contractor stole a bunch of my money, but we don't talk about that anymore because we're moving on. And now I'm in the space in which I'm in right now, and I've been here 1 year, and in the last year, I've hired new employees, I've bought new machinery, I've learned new processes, and we've started really laying the foundation of the future of Hilliker Holster Co. And that starts with our newest line of IWB holsters. So we took our old models and we threw them in the garbage, and we completely restarted from scratch. 3D modeling, the design, the features, the fitment, we just started over. That has been a very, very long process. That is what we've been working on for the last year. And it's taken a long time, months and months, and thousands of dollars of R&D and frustration and messing up and breaking tools and wanting to quit and continuing to go. And we are finally to a point where, after months and months of tooling and design changes and processes, etc., that we are going to introduce it. And we think that you guys are going to be pretty pleased with what we have been working on. Some of the molds have taken months to design, and that's because my standard is probably too high. But I wanted the future of our flagship holster line to be perfect. And that's what we've been working on. I am very excited with where I started and even all of the stuff that happened to where I am today, to continue growing and building and adding new models and more support and continuing to support the community. And I'm pretty sure you guys are going to like it too. And I know for a fact that my brother Aaron would love this shit.
you.